Good evening. Today is Wednesday, April 18th, 2012. This is a regular board meeting of the Brownsville Navigation District. The time is 5:34 p.m. If everyone will please rise for invocation. Reverend.
Dear Father in heaven, we're always thankful to be able to begin our meetings by remembering you, by thanking you for your presence, by thanking you for every perfect gift that you've given us, first the Son, and everything else, including and down to this port. Father, we thank you for the gift of this port. We thank you for everyone that works here, makes their living by the industry here. Father, we pray your blessing on all who work here and serve here. Father, may your name be glorified in this place. May this place be a crossroads of prosperity in this region, Father. May you guide us and lead us, glorify your name here. In Jesus' name.
Amen. You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for a public audience?
Nobody signed up.
Okay, Donna's not here today, so I'll pretend to be here.
Just wing it, John.
I'll wing it. Okay, director's report. Debbie? Actually got to read.
Commissioners, the operating summary for the month of February is in your backup. As you'll see, the year started off well. Our operations are almost $1 million in net income after the first 2 months. Cargo statistics are running ahead of last year, and all the other indicators are staying really well. Like he seems to be having a good year.
It looks like income is up, but expenses are down. I mean,
It's a pretty good combination. Yeah.
A lot of our effort has been going into the capital improvements program, and seeing the new patios.
we're really growing. It's all fitting together. It's great teamwork.
Just keep it up there.
Yeah, the rail especially. I mean, just look at the numbers same time last year versus this year. That's a good sign. In fact, today, just today they're really going a lot of cars. And the throughput this year, I think, we're not sitting this stuff sitting on the ground. We've got another slab back. In past years, you'd see that stuff is real well this year.
Do with our draft, with the maintenance we did on and the draft.
No, I think just that production increases. I mean, I think you're seeing production increase, and they're a lot more capacity than they were in the last 2 or 3 years, and so we're not inventorying as much material. I mean, it's kind of getting used as almost as it's going out as soon as it's coming in. So it's really not sitting in the patios, which is good. I mean that always ensures that we have a lot of storage capacity, but that's why a lot of the increase in because they're just simply moving that product a lot faster than we've seen in the last couple of years.
If you just look at last year, this year was 2980. Last year it's 7224.
Yeah.
This year through the end of February, which is, and we've still got March isn't in there yet, and I know in March I went down Ostis Road and we were all slab where all of the patios. Went down there 2 weeks later and it's a little bit in one patio. It's just really been gangbusters. Real happy.
And we're still putting the money into the capital fund
Every week.
every week. Okay.
As well as the excess from the leases.
What's that up to now, Debbie?
9.3 million as of April 13th.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have any questions? And thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Deb.
We have the operations.
The infamous slideshow.
Having a burger. We commissioners, this is the infamous construction report. Yeah, if you will.
Yeah, I need to make it.
I'll try to run through it quickly, don't worry.
I'm not going to get any closer than this, too.
Take your time, honey.
We do kind of have
You
a...
got 5 minutes.
Pero ahora no, porque es un catarro.
Sí, no,
Last time I had over 100 slides and I went through them in about 7 minutes.
You didn't have 100 slides.
But anyways, this time it's not going to be that many, I don't think. So anyways, this is the construction report for April 18th, 2012. The first thing that we always report to you on is, of course, the deepening and widening study. Well, I'm going to go over some of the things that you already may know, because the last time I gave a report like this was 2 months ago, was in February. In March, we didn't have the second board meeting. So in February 29th, we had a teleconference on the employment benefits. The Corps informed us that the ship dismantling and the in-transit cargo benefits would be regional and not national. What that means is that even though there are benefits, they cannot be used in the calculation for the benefit to cost ratio that determines, you know, basically where this project is going to wind up. However, the good news is that they informed us that Section 6009 of Public Law 109.13 definitely applies, and I put that in quotes because that was the way that they reported it, to our deepening and widening project. This is the law that mandates, of course, inclusion of the oil refabrication and repair employment benefits from any deepening and widening project. And if you remember, our current calculations have these benefits at 99 million per year, which would yield a benefit to cost ratio of probably 10.0 or higher, which is almost unheard of in the studies that they have recently done. Usually the studies that they've done are considered fundable if they're over 1.0, and this is here at 10.0. So that's why, as you know, we've been campaigning hard to try to get these benefits included. Right now, headquarters in Washington basically has taken over the development of the guidance as to how this law is going to be applied, and that's going to include a decision of exactly what portion of those 99 million will apply. Even if they take half of that, which is possible, you know, we're gonna still reflect a very high benefit to cost ratio for this project. This morning I received a call from Galveston, and I reported obviously to our port director, where it was reported that the Center of Expertise in Mobile, Alabama wanted to use the Harbor Sim model. Now what the Harbor Sim model is it determines what the benefits are due to deepening. But the Harbor Sim model is a new model that hasn't even been certified yet. The issue is that Galveston sent the report already to Mobile, to the PCX Center, and with all the numbers finished according to what they have. I haven't seen that report because that was something recent that they did. And if we have to go back and redo the numbers with the Harbor Sim model, it could have an 8 to 10 month delay in the project. However, I will tell you that a few minutes ago, this is the Galveston district, and this is Dallas, which is division. They were working together to try to make sure that the numbers that they submitted would be used, and the good news is that it appears highly likely right now that we're not going to have to go through that delay. So I did want to report that we had it, but that we had that concern, but as of this afternoon, that appears to be okay. So if accepted, the schedule still has the study being completed in August of 2014 after peer review. Again, we're working with headquarters to try to reduce peer review so that we can get a study finalized earlier than that.
August 2014 may not work for us, and that's kind of new. We had hoped that the study would be finished in 2013. That 1 year is significant enough for us that, you know, we've raised that spectrum of that's a real concern. So
see, that's why we want to eliminate peer review, because
well, peer review is not going to be eliminated. What'll happen is that in order to keep on track with accelerating the schedule, is that peer review can be done at the same time the report is out for public comment, so that you don't have to delay the study anymore. So, and peer review is strictly a technical review. It's not a review that raises questions about, well, we think you should have done this, or we don't agree with this. It's purely technical, and the assurances that we got at headquarters was that peer review would be done simultaneous to the public review, so it would not slow the process down.
That's good news.
So that's basically good news. And,
But August 2014 is a
That's
concern, because if you're going to see a major funding bill in 2013, you don't want to miss that window. Whether you can see WRDA, the Water Resources Development Act, hasn't been one for 7 years. They're pushing for the one, and we certainly want to be in a position to have what is called a chief's report issued, which is, everything complete, in hand for any major legislation that's going to deal with significant infrastructure funding. And so that is something we're still working on.
And so our people in DC are working on that together with our port director and the people in Galveston and the people in Dallas. We're working through all the levels. Going back to here, to our projects here, this is a project that is being worked on right now with our own forces. Our maintenance department is working on the area here behind sheds 12 to 14. This is in general the area that they're working right now. As you can see, this is the area that needs to be regraded. We've already set the stakes, and our surveying crew is working together with the maintenance department to properly cut the grade. And what we're doing is basically, if I'm going to go back here for a second, what we're doing is we're trying to create a ridge approximately in this location so that the drainage brings the water out and minimizes the runoff into the rail area, which was one of the issues that we had on, if you remember, there was a rain where we had that rail underwater. So, and most of that water actually came from an overflow from the main ditch over here that overflowed over Ostos Road. So that's why we're trying to redesign that in a way that it'll minimize, if not prevent, that to happen. And that design has been completed, has been turned over to maintenance, and maintenance is working with that. That's the area to be regraded. This is, of course, our equipment moving material out of there and getting everything ready. As you can see, there's the lats and the stakes set by our surveying department. And here's some of the work in preparing of the subgrade so that we can start working from there up with our.
Well, the other part of that is that part of the area has never been used. It's never been available for storage. So we just want to complete it. We'll be able to recapture or capture more storage area by going in there and doing that work. So essentially, it just maximizes the use of that area behind the warehouses for storage. So. Kind of that thing's been on the radar for a couple of years, so I'm glad we're finally getting to it.
Are those utility lines that are there?
Yeah, those pole lines just go parallel. That's lighting. Those are probably going to go at some point. We've got I think one of the agenda items is the high mast lighting. Yeah. But that was done some time ago. The line that was going across the patio, north and south, is gone already. So the only thing left is that pole line, and we may well remove it once we get the lighting all done for those back areas.
Okay.
One of the projects that I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes is the tweak area lighting that we are almost complete with right now. And as Mr. Campirano mentioned, we have the high mast lighting on the agenda for you to authorize us to go into that. The high mast lighting is actually going to have underground lines, and it's going to have poles closer to the fence, so those poles are going to be gone, and it's going to be different type of light that are going to basically illuminate this whole area. I'll be bringing something to that effect next month, so you can see up on the screen more or less where we are planning on having those lights. We're finalizing that project with the consultant right now, and that's why we're asking for permission to go out for bids. We have one meeting pending next week with still to be scheduled with the stevedores to show them what we want to do and make sure that they're okay with the plan. So,
that section where the windmills are, you have shown that.
Yeah, I'm going to show it in a second. I think that might be the next one.
What was that?
Sheriff, what was that patio that you just showed us used for before we couldn't get to it before
This one here?
We've always used it for storage, except that part of, I guess you could say, the east part. We never improved it, so we've just never really laid anything down that of any significance.
Because it was never prepared.
It was never prepared.
Okay, so now we'll be able to use that.
Now we'll be able to use the whole area as opposed to just 85% of the area.
See, the design covers all the way from Dock 11 Road to Dock 13 Road, which is that entire area. So with proper transitions and everything, but we've got all that laid out. So all of it will be covered.
I think Joe said we'd add a little bit more than an additional acre of storage
exactly.
to that area behind the sheds.
On this eastern side.
And so that's premium because, you know, I mean, as you know, the areas that are prime are the ones that are closest to the dock. So we'll pick up additional storage area by using this.
So yeah, that's basically that area right there. The wind energy tower components that have been coming into the port, basically this is the area on Dock 15, on Patio 15, I'm sorry, which is right in front of Dock 15. That is still occupied. As last time that we measured it, which was I believe Thursday last week. Everything that you see here was the way that they delivered it initially. So that's still there. In Patio 16, this is the area east of Dock 15. That's still there. Now on the Patio 22 area, as of February 2012, we had basically just tower components there. But in March, they brought in the blades, which we stored in this area. And as of April, they had already removed all the windmill tower components there, and they only had, they reduced the area that they were storing blades right here.
We're going to get them off the docks.
Excuse me?
What?
They're actually eating at it now. They're just starting to get into the.
See, that's our situation. They removed these first when we would wish they would remove those over there first. But you know, we're working on that to get those sequenced in that order. Now I'm going to show you here. Sorry. I was just going to show you here. This is
back to that area. That patio has a real weak area in it. Unless you'll fix it, had a sinkhole basically.
They avoided it.
They what?
I think Joe said he avoided it.
So we don't have any plans to
see, there was an area here where we had some soft sand.
Right. Oh.
And we had the soils engineer come in and do some analysis, some penetrometer exercises there, and we determined the areas that were weak. And Mr. Garza was removing the weak soil and filling it with better material, and then putting the limestone on top of that. So that's already bridged over.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, not all of it, but we're working on it.
Yeah, and
We
in
finished
this area, and then
in order not to
over.
stop, to come back to that, we went ahead and finished that whole strip to the back.
Yeah, we went on this side, but
but they're working on
the
that.
weakness was about in this location right here. So that's being worked on, and you know, we've already determined what needs to be done. We got a recommendation from the soils engineer on how to proceed, so that's already been addressed. Here's just a couple of pictures of the unloading of some of these blades. This is the second shipment of blades, the one that's actually there on Patio 22 now. Here you can see the blade on the truck going out right here. And here it goes out through the back and then turns out on the east side on Dock 13 Road. Here you just see that going out, and this is the 45 blades that are remaining there. I call it remaining blades because that's what remains. Originally they had 80 blades. Most of those already went out. Now this is what's remaining there, basically, of the components. Another project, of course, this is something that we've been trying to do for a long time. We finally got some work on it done. This is Terminal Road. This is an overall view of the striping. This was done last week for the stop bar there at 048. This is the main striping. You can see the traffic buttons at the gaps here. And this is just the railroad striping there. Of course, this is in anticipation to the railroad. The only thing that is pending now is setting up the traffic signs that we have to set up. We have the traffic signs. I have them in my office.
Well, get them in because, you know, as soon as those line, we're going to see those hundreds of trucks, right, Kevin? So, get them in.
I was waiting for Kevin to say yay.
That's why I looked at him over there. It's okay, dude, where are the trucks? You're like, come on.
The news, this is just a couple of pictures that I wanted to show you. Here, of course, you already see all the landscaping in front. There's still some landscaping that we're planning on doing over here, but the reason we're waiting, and I'm going to show you why we're waiting on that in a minute. This is basically the area here on the landscape with the fence over there on the other side. And the reason that we haven't landscaped the rest of it yet is because of the lift station number 6 work. This is the site before the new slab. This is the reinforcing steel there on the lift station. This is the electrical control panels that were set with new poles with a new H-frame. Actually, we wound up having a third pole in the middle because the electrician had actually set the pole in the wrong side, and we had him put it on the correct side. And so basically, this is the side before the concrete slab where you can see the reinforcing steel. Here's where they're starting to pour the concrete. This is when they're working on most of it right here, and then here you see the slab done. This is basically the completed work by the contractors. Now our staff is going to go and set the horizontal, what do you call them? The horizontal bars for the pickets that will go on the fence. There's not going to be a door on these. So I originally had planned on having a door right here. But Mr. Casa and I agreed to, there's a man door in this chain link fence a little bit further this way. So we're going to relocate the man door to right about there. And so the access to the lift station is now going to be from the other side. There's not going to be any access on this side. And the reason I wanted to do that is because we were going to be able to landscape this and not have trucks coming in and out from this side into that area in front of the Siemens Center. So we've got that taken care of by that. We're going to pour a little bit of a concrete slab right there just to let the guys walk in. And then I'm going to surround the rest of it with some limestone. So we're going to keep the vegetation under control in that area within the fence. But this fence is going to tie into this fence right here. And this fence, as you can see, that pole is already there next to the other chain link fence. So we're going to have 2 chain link sides and 2 wooden fence sides. But the wooden fence sides are the ones that shield the lift station from the Siemens.
The wood fence will then continue on down and connect with the other.
Yes.
So it'll be a continuous wood fence.
All the way, exactly.
And it'll separate the space between dock 2 and the Siemens.
Dock 3.
Dock 3, excuse me.
So that's a completed slab, and then this is a shot of the completed electrical control panels. This is the, let's see. This is the main cutoff. We have a set of switches here of breakers to allow feeding power to the bathroom over there on dock 3. And we also have another feeder in case we need to illuminate the area down here. I'm pointing below the dock. You see that white paint right there is where we usually go in to get it to the boats next to the dock. And then this is the control panel that drives everything inside the lift station. So that's what we're trying to do with all our lift stations right now. And I'm hopefully next month I'll be able to bring you some more pictures of new lift stations that we're doing right now. There's 3 that we're doing on the south side over there all the way to Bay Bridge that we're trying to upgrade to this standard. Another project, of course, is the Twig Access Point and Old Dock Road lighting. This is on Old Docks 1 and 2. You can see the foundations and the poles. I tried to show you all the poles here that go on Old Dock 1 and 2. This is Old Dock 1 is right here, Old Dock 2 is right there. So you can see all those right there.
Big difference in these wooden poles.
Oh yeah. This is the entrance to Old Dock 1. That's the Old Dock Road gate. This is the lighting for the area. There's a Twig card reader right here. So this is the illumination for that. And then there's another pole right there at the end where the road turns. And then here's another one. My lettering here blocked the light. But you see the pole right there. And there's the light fixtures up at the top. On Old Dock 5, it's the same situation. We've got all these lights. Although you can see them from there. All these, all the way up to here. Some of these we wound up having to put on the pavement because of conflict with the aerial utilities over here. And then here over on the area there, we were closer to the rail, but we just respected the rail distance that BRG asked us to respect. So We double checked that with them before placing. Now this is on Anchor Road. This is the entrance to oil dock number 3. You see this is the type B lights that go over there. This is a type B light for the twig lighting, for the twig reader, right there at the access gate. And now these last two, I've got actually 2 here. This is the East Old Dock Road area on the east side. You can see the light here and several lights all the way down to the end. And this is a shot from the west side of East Old Dock Road, west side of Anchor Road. And this is basically the area where our oil dock number 6 would be. So some of these lights already would light up the area there for oil dock number 6. And then the last 2 pictures that I have here is the Dock 10 Road Twig access point. This is a light for the access to Dock 10. Here's the meter arrangement that is going to provide electricity to that pole. And then here is the one for Dock 13 Road. Now, as you can see, there's no lights there, and there's no lights there. The reason is that they had a theft of equipment, and they had to order additional material. The reason I'm mentioning that is because part of the reason that the change order is on your agenda now is because they lost that material, and it's not coming in till towards the end of the month. So we're working with them on that.
Was it stolen on Port property or
yes,
somewhere?
It was stolen on Port property. The thing is, they left poles with the fixtures overnight because they were going to set them up the following day. When they came back that day, 2 of the fixtures were missing, and those are they're custom-made fixtures. They're not shelf items, so they have to order them and get them made and then get them shipped. So they expect to get them before the end of the month, but that
Do our cameras pick up that?
No.
See, Chief is here.
Well, 2 things with that. One is that we weren't advised that the material was left on the ground, so we keep an eye. And secondly, we didn't know anything about it until after the fact, but no, the cameras didn't pick it up.
Yeah, see that the area where they were picked up was over here on the south side of the patio area that we're working on, and the cameras don't pick up that area. So the cameras usually go towards the water.
How big are those? Would they have been transported out of the port in a truck or in a vehicle? Are they go in a truck?
Yeah.
Trunk of the car, back to the other car.
And I don't know where they can use them because they're fairly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what the twig lighting. Here's the Dock 13 one that I showed you, and then the other project is the internal roads project. This is just a quick report here. You already familiar with the map. The project is 99.999% complete. We're almost done with this. A walkthrough inspection was performed in early March, and we found several areas that we saw some problems, and we marked them for the contractor. They identified and marked. Contractor addressed most of the areas of concern. Some of the areas were iffy. You could see some issues, but there was no significant settlement. And TechStop, which is our construction manager, sent an email yesterday, and we got a response from the contractor today that they're finalizing the double check on the quantities to be able to close out the project. So hopefully once that is done, we're waiting for notice from the contractor of completion of the pending items, which is the punch list items that we generated. And once we get that, the project will be closed out by TechStop. And
What about the money they owe us?
excuse me?
What about the money they owe us?
Well, the way that we manage that, we work with them on some of the work that wasn't done, and we got credit back more than what we had projected was our expense. So we've already washed that out based on some of the work that they didn't do that we wound up doing. So that's already.
How did you verify?
Yes. Yeah.
How did you verify the cost and all?
Well, we verified that we calculated our cost. Our maintenance department calculated the cost that we had, which was about $8,300. And then we compared it to the amount that we had to deduct from their contract because of the uncompleted work and some other issues. And their work was in the 10 to 11,000 range that had to be credited back. So that washed out our expense from the contract. So in reality, it worked in our favor. So we covered it in that time. The other project, a little bit of additional work that was done on the connector road is right at the entrance. Of course, you remember this is 550. 550 is going to end on 48, and our connector road is the road that goes from 550 to Fouts Road. The railing here hadn't been built because they were waiting for the other contractor that's working on 550 to finish some of their work on the north side. So now they came in. This was done about a month ago, but you can see that they already put the railing here and then the bridge railing, the concrete railing on the side of the bridge. You can see this right here. This is the new portion of the work that hadn't been done yet, and now it's there. This is on the other side, and here's the railing on the east side of the bridge. And the last project is 550. There's a lot of progress on this one. Again, we showed you this a couple of months. This is already hot mix. This is asphalt surfacing already on the main lane, and they're working on this frontage road with some of the gravel prior to the hot mix. This is looking back towards the port, and you can see that a lot of work has been done. Here's work on the gravel surfacing on the frontage road. This is the old Port Isabel overpass. This is shot from the north, looking down towards town, basically in that direction. This is the overpass itself. They've already got all the planking set up on top. So, this is a lot of significant progress. This is the 3248 overpass. This is a shot of the 3248 overpass from the opposite side. This is from Hugh Emerson Boulevard down towards the north side. This is the rail overpass that runs under the rail is actually the underpass. This is the overpass that 550 goes over that. That's a shot from the rail overpass from the south side looking north. This is the toll gantry that's already been set up. I'm sure you've seen it from 48. And then this is the underpass at New 48 looking towards the toll gantry. And then this is the underpass looking towards the port. And then this is the westbound on-ramp. This is if you are coming in towards the port and you don't want to go to the port, you go to the right and you get back on 48 to the right. This is actually how you would get off 48 into 550 over here. This is 550, and this is the off-ramp going westbound. And then this is the eastbound off-ramp where you would get in here to get into the port. The port is over here. You would get off 48 to go to the port. And this is the eastbound on-ramp. So a lot of that, you can see a lot of the progress that they've already done on there. This pole kind of caught my attention, so I took a close shot of it. And here's the foundation for that pole. That's some of the high-mast lighting that's going to be right there at the overpass. And that's the last shot. My nature shot is this coyote that one of my staff members caught and took a picture of it with his phone. So, any questions?
I've got a couple, Mr.
Yes, sir.
On the punch list for the internal roads, is South on that list by any chance? You know?
We have some we marked some areas on Fouts Road where we feel they need to go ahead and address some of the issues there, and we're waiting for them to finalize all those issues. But we do have some areas marked.
Yeah, some of those roads are starting to.
There's some settlement on some of it already. And those are the areas that we mark for them that we need for them to rework.
And on another note, Eddie, maybe you can help us out. When you and I went to the MPO, there was a couple of people mentioning, or not complaining, but where the entrance of the port city comes in, they're fixing, TxDOT is fixing, they're doing their thing. So they've got it to a one lane. And so people are complaining, people going to the island or coming from the island, if you're driven by it, you would be the most indicated one. It's kind of a narrow road. I don't know if you could do something about that.
There's going to be a bad accident.
Yeah, it's just waiting to happen.
Where is that?
When you're getting on the...
Like what they've done is on 48, the two-lane road is now changed to a one lane, and it's very narrow there. I didn't, when he asked the question, I didn't fully understand it because it wasn't a port question, it was a TxDOT question.
That's what I told him, it was a TxDOT question.
And when the TxDOT guy got off, he said, well, we're still working on it, but the thing is, the 550 project is not going to be completed till November or December of this year. And a lot of that area is going to stay tight for this, you know, for almost all that period, because what you saw there is just the underpass. 48 is going to go over our 550 connector. So, you know.
Now, there are two areas they could improve on. One is the on-ramp getting onto 48, kind of 511, and they come back up and under.
Yeah.
It's horrible there. And then the other is Commissioner Lopez talking about, especially when Anthos gets out.
Yeah, because the traffic volumes go way up.
It's bottlenecks.
Horrible.
Well, it is bottlenecks because it goes down to one lane. And that one lane is narrow as it is.
Yeah. On another note, Mr. Campirano, on our widening and deepen feasibility study, you know, that's great, and we hope that we do get it in 2013. But going further, are we approaching our situation where with the harbor maintenance tax, you know, where that money goes? Is there some, are we sitting up as port with other ports trying to?
Yeah, we've been, in fact, the Gulfport region, probably early on the harbor maintenance tax issue, probably been the ones that kind of pushed it, because even at AAPA, there was no unanimity as an organization because the West Coast ports opposed it. We've been very active in that fight for.
And Chairman Micah has taken that on.
Micah has got port issues in his proposed transportation bill, but it's the Bustani's bill. Also, I provided you information in the past. Senator Hutchison wrote a letter. She was one of the first ones to sign on a couple of years ago in terms of a friend of the deal. But so the Gulf ports are the ones that have kind of given the Brownsville to get that thing going. And there's a lot more support for the harbor maintenance tax issue building every day. But yeah, we've been active in that from the beginning.
Eddie, perhaps, you know, so people watch this on television, would you ought to explain what the harbor maintenance tax is?
The harbor maintenance tax is an ad valorem tax on cargo imports. It is a percentage. I think it's like 0.00125%, and so it's an ad valorem because it's on the value of the cargo. And so essentially, when imports come in, those vessels are paid for that tax. The purpose of the tax was to raise revenue necessary to maintain the navigable waterways, to provide enough funds to be able to maintain the channels and to do all that work. The trust fund right now has over $4 billion in the trust fund of unused funds. It collects annually anywhere from $1.2 to $1.4 billion a year. The problem is that half of that money is being diverted for other uses. In other words, when you look at the core budget and the core needs money to maintain the navigable waterways, they're only getting 5.6, 4.8, billion dollars for their budget, and so consequently, what goes into O&M is about 700 million and so forth. So there's an effort right now to essentially make sure that the harbor maintenance tax is used 100% for its intended purpose. Now, the effort does not go back and attempt to recover what is in the trust fund, because the trust fund is a paper deal. That money's not there. O&M has diverted it for other uses. But at least from this point forward, if it's collecting $1.4 billion a year, that all that money be used. And the Corps has indicated if they were to get, $1.2 to $1.4 billion a year, that they could keep up with maintaining all the channels. So that's the effort right now, is to make sure that money gets used for its intended purpose. And yes, we've been very active in that process from the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. That's great.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda items, consideration and action on following consent agenda items. Approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 4th, 2012.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we, as presented for the board meeting of April 4th, 2012.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 5, receive recommendation from salvage auction team regarding management of the waste oil in the district's ballast pits.
Commissioners, the salvage auction team was asked to take a look at this subject in regard to, we do have some waste oil in our ballast pits. They are licensed facilities to hold this product, and to see what our recommendations would be going forward to city management. We presented a recommendation to you in the packet, and essentially we feel that if we're going to remove that product from the ballast pits, it should be handled by a licensed hauler and taken to another licensed disposal site. And the recommendation is there for you, and if you wish for us to implement policy or anything further,
I think that the recommendation essentially is not to sell it, not to make it available, that if we're going to remove it, we remove it according to all the regulations. Right. And part of that is there's not a whole lot of it in there. Secondly is, we got burned in the past. I think Daniel will tell you about our situation with the Baldwin site where we did have product being removed from the port. Unfortunately, it wasn't monitored as it was going, and in the end, the only ones that were left standing was the port, and we still have a liability that we're incurring in that regard. So we had a request from someone who wanted to buy the oil in the ballast pit, or would essentially pay us to remove it. And I think the intent was to sell this somewhere in Mexico. And so we had come to you and asked you for permission to go ahead and look at the issue. We referred it to the salvage auction team, and so the recommendation is that we still have an obligation to remove that and do it in a manner that meets all environmental regulations, and it's regulated. But we don't believe it's in our best interest to essentially put it out for sale and potentially lose control as to where that product goes.
So I guess at some point in the future, you'll determine you need to move it, remove it, and then you'll bring it to the board with a policy and procedure that we can adopt. Well, and that's what it says right here in the recommendation.
Yeah, I think that the way we remove it now is that it becomes a budget issue, and then we get a qualified hauler, basically, that is licensed by the federal government to remove it, and that we can assure that it's going to a disposal site that's also licensed.
Well, the way it makes it sound like right now is we have no procedure or policy.
Well, I mean,
that's exactly what it's saying.
We have no procedure to sell it or to do anything like that. I mean, we have to haul it off right now. There's rules and regulations that tell you how you're supposed to do it.
And I'm confused as to what you're all wanting us to do.
Basically, that we're not going to sell it.
We were asked the recommendation. Our recommendation is
Your recommendation is not to sell the oil.
That's not what it says.
If you all would want us to do something further with this, we would ask for some direction from you. Otherwise, we will continue to look at the project.
If there was someone
every year
that was licensed to remove it, licensed to remove it, and would buy it from us, I wouldn't see any reason for us to pay somebody to remove it if somebody else was going to pay us. It was licensed the same way the other ones.
Our problem is where the destination of the product is. If they're purchasing this to go ahead and then turn it over to recycle it or to use it in some other manner, and it doesn't go directly to another waste oil or waste facility, we've lost track of where that product is going, and we're still responsible for it until it actually ends up into a licensed facility. That was our concern, is that we would lose track of where this product is.
Yeah, this has to go, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, this has to go, they need to a recycler who is authorized to license to move this. Like Donna says, I'm sorry, Mr. Lucas says, like if we sell it, so down the road we're going to lose control, and then we can come back to haunt us and a lot of different ways.
We would follow the regulations necessary for the extraction, removal, and disposition of the waste material. That's what it is. It's environmentally hazardous waste, and so we would follow all those regulations. What we're saying is that we do not recommend the sale or donation of the oil to another party. That if we're going to get rid of it, then we would follow the regulatory requirements to make sure that whoever comes and removes it is licensed, that the facility it goes to is licensed, and it's disposed of properly according to all the rules and regulations.
Yeah, what Commissioner Collins says, he is right. There's companies that come and they pay you to remove the oil.
Well, I mean, then they're gonna do all of those things.
They're licensed.
Yeah.
I mean, because they go by mechanic shops and other places and take oil and used oil and oil change prices and all these things.
And you have services available at the port for other users that already do that too.
Yeah.
We have some of our tenants who hire contractors to remove hazardous waste from the facility and dispose of it properly.
But what I'm saying is there are some on oil that pay for it, that don't have to pay. So if there is somebody that would do it, and it would go to the right place, and we weren't losing control of it, everybody was bonded, licensed, and everything else up and down the line, and I would see no way to pay and not, that wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, good points. Anything else, Ms.?
If there's anything else, we'll bring it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to action items. Number 6, consideration action to acknowledge receipt of the audit of the district's financial statements for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2011.
Well, let me do this. One is I would ask that we table this item to the next meeting, and the reason for that is that I'm going to go ahead and give you a copy of the financial report that we have completed. But as you know, that one of our goals for the current year is to do the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And when we initially started this process, we knew we would have the financials completed by the end of March, and we thought we would need more time to do the CAFR. We were hoping to be able to have the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report on the agenda to have Mr. Barrera come and do the presentation. He called and asked that if we could do that at the next meeting. But I'm going to go ahead and give you the financial report now. What you will get in the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report will be significantly different. There will be a lot more information. But the numbers do not change. So this will give you time to review it, and so when we do the presentation of the CAFR, if you have any questions on the numbers, I will tell you that we have no findings in the audit. There is no management letter. We had a very good year, probably better than we've had maybe ever. And so the numbers are complete. So the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report will be a much different format and a lot more statistical information. If there's any changes from this report, after it's not going to be in the numbers, it'll simply be in maybe some of the notes and the footnoting. At this time, I would just simply let's just table the item and then have Mr. Barrera come on May the 2nd and make the presentation using the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
I think it's a good idea. It gives us time to review the report.
I would tell you to look at the beginning on page 6, which actually beginning on page 11 through page 18, which is the management discussion analysis, and so that gives you some good information. Also talks about the highlights for the year, and then 19 through 24 is really the numbers, the balance sheet, and the information on that. So, like I said, the numbers are not going to change. They are fine.
Right. Motion to table. Second. Move the table. All in favor? Aye. Number 7, consideration action on assignment, negotiations, easements, subleases, and contracts in general. 1, Estill Marine Inc., authority to negotiate.
The Chairman, Commissioners, Estill Marine under contract 3034 is requesting to amend their lease. They're negotiating with BRG to relocate the north yard so they can increase their lease boundaries. So the staff is asking for authority to negotiate this change to the lease.
Chairman, I'd like to move motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we move to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 2, St. Clair Group Inc., authority to negotiate.
The St. Clair Group is requesting to lease approximately 50 acres on the south side on Otis Road, east of the bridge corridor, to construct and operate a bulk petroleum storage terminal, with easements to extend pipeline to the liquid cargo. So the staff is asking for authority to negotiate with this company.
Who is St. Clair?
St. Clair, we've got some representatives of St. Clair here.
Where are y'all from?
From Brownsville.
From Brownsville?
Yes.
Not. Well, the investment company is not from Brownsville, but I guess you guys are the guys that are affiliated with Jefferson, or is this a different group?
Jefferson Petroleum.
Jefferson has requested tank space.
Any further questions?
Just if they're aware that if they happen to leave the cleanup, Mr. Renfro, this will be on their thing.
Yeah, we'll require pollution control.
Yeah, and we'll want to see site plans and all that and look at it. One is that we're looking at underground piping under the road because you don't want an obstruction over the road. So this is just the beginning of discussions that they've submitted the necessary paperwork to commence the discussion, but we've still got work to do to bring it to you for your consideration action.
This is simply the authority to negotiate.
That's correct.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
JTN 2 Limited. Authority to
To
negotiate.
abstain from this, I have a possible conflict.
That'll be noted.
JTM to LTD, under contract 3517, is requesting to add an additional term, a 5-year term to their lease, and staff is asking for authority to negotiate an amendment to this lease.
Okay.
Motion is pending.
Move and second, please show permission. Move and second. Is there a second? Carlos, look at me. Move and second, please show Commissioner Cowan as abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And number 4, Deep South Texas Terminal LP, RTW Properties LP, Valero Brownsville Terminal LLC, authority to negotiate.
Valero Brownsville Terminals LLC is negotiating with Deep South Tex and RTW to, they're negotiating to purchase some of their improvements and to operate a petroleum terminal in the port. And the staff is asking authority to negotiate with these parties to amend or prepare releases to Deep South Tex and RTW of those parcels, and authority to prepare a new contract to Valero.
So basically, giving you the authority to negotiate.
Authority
You'll
to
bring that
negotiate.
up.
Yes, sir.
I so moved.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 8, consideration and action to authorize port staff to advertise for bids on the high mast lighting and selected docks and patios project and open bids thereof.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, as indicated earlier in the construction report, we are almost ready to go out for bids. We just wanted to meet with the Cubidos one more time next week, but we would like to have your authorization to prepare the invitation and to go out for bids on that project and open bids whenever we receive it. Or we'll bring the bids themselves back to you for your approval of the contract.
Is this, just briefly, where is this, the high mast lighting is going to be at only on certain docks?
Well, basically, the way the project is named right now, we would be selected docks, but the only docks that we're looking at are basically the area behind, the area right here behind sheds 12 and 13. There's one light that's actually going right about here, and another one right in this area, but basically it's lighting the cargo dock area here and the area here on dock 15.
This is the lighting that's outside the security lighting, even though it will be also security and it will help secure the boats. It's the second phase of the dock lighting, not associated with the TWIC entry locations.
Or the oil dump.
Yeah, we had talked about wanting to provide lighting to the work areas,
Right.
And also to provide security. This is the second phase of those cargo ducts.
Okay, but this is going to provide a lot more lighting because it's really going to light up.
We've been working with the stevedores and all that, I mean, from the beginning, but, you know, before we go out, it's not a bad idea to just check one last time.
Are we gonna try to use energy efficient lighting in our request for the bids, like LED lighting or anything like that?
Well, see, this is high mass lighting, so
It's not gonna work with that, or?
the LED will probably not work for the high mass because of the high mass.
And this recommendation for high mass lighting was over trying to reduce the number of lights, poles that you have in the area. Because remember, these are all work areas. These are areas where you've got cranes and so it's a compromise to get away from more structures. Recommendation was go to the high mass that lights a much larger area with less structure. That's correct.
And all the cabling is going to be underground.
Similar to the pole
Chemical
showed us, right?
Yeah, and on Chemical Road, if you notice that light pole that we have there is high mass.
Yeah, like you said, the pole that I showed was basically that, and I think ours is going to be a little bit taller than what that one showed, but that's essentially the same thing.
Wind, storm, and all that.
Everything's been covered. Engineering specs.
I want to make sure.
Yeah. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll second.
Okay, one more item. All in favor?
Aye.
And consideration and action to approve change order number 4 to the Twick Access Point and road lighting augmentation project, extending the contract time.
Mr. Chairman, Board Commissioners, this change order basically is just to make a final adjustment on the quantities. The net effect of this change order is a reduction in the current contract value from $468,860.40. A reduction of $3,479.16 to a final contract amount of $465,381.24. That basically aligns everything back to the quantities that we have in your packet. I showed you a tabulation of what was added and what was deleted to make sure that the final quantities conform to what's out there. And then in addition, as I mentioned in the construction report, because of the issue of the theft of the equipment, the contractor requested for us to allow an additional 30 days, which we are showing in there. And in the item, of course, we mentioned that the completion date for the funding is May 31st, so we're well ahead of that with having the completion time on May 2nd. So we're asking for you.
And you're asking us to also let you say was 3,000.
There you go.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have nothing for executive session. Under public comment period, do we have anybody sign up? Anybody? Commissioner Cowan would like a few minutes to discuss this.
I just trip. I made a trip to Guatemala with our marketing director to the American Association of Port Authorities Latin American Delegation Annual Conference. We was invited to go by the chairman and made an honorary member of their delegation in Seattle, and that I had attended several other meetings before that, and I attended a meeting in Washington, D.C. The conference there was about 300 people at the conference, had booths there. Tampa, Galveston, Corpus Christi, Miami took a sponsor a $20,000 luncheon this time. They've got a lot of budget. Palm Beach was there, the Inland Port of San Antonio, Long Beach, and we had the United States Maritime Commissioner, Mario Cordero from Long Beach, and then we had the National Port Authorities from Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Ecuador, Panama, El Salvador, Honduras, Chile, and Paraguay. The economist that was there gave some very interesting details and information, and that is that the emerging markets of Latin American countries and ports will be increasing their economies by 8 to 10% a year for the next 10 years. Our United States is projected to 1.5 to 2% per year. So it makes very good sense, and we're the closest port to them geographically. So it makes very good sense for us to be here at the crossroads of the hemisphere, to be letting them know, hey, we're here. You know, you can use us as an in-transit port for northern Mexico or to go on into the United States. And we have rail, we have roads, we have truck, we have airlines, we have everything that you could possibly need. And we have the docks, we have the depth, and we're ready to go. And we were very well received. As some of you know, we're working on trying to get a regular service from the Port of Brownsville to the Port of Santa Tomás de Castilla, Guatemala. The Guatemalan government and Port Commission is very, very much in favor of this. They currently have service from there to New Orleans on twice a week, but they would like to come to the Texas Gulf Coast. Corpus Christi is also working on this, and they've been working on it, but we have some edges there. And we met with the president of the Guatemalan National Exporters Association, and it seems that there are over 1,200 trucks of produce coming to Centro de Abastos Brownsville, McAllen from Guatemala every month. We have trucks and machinery and cars that are going south and other products. So looks like we have what it takes to get the service going. There's a company in town today that our marketing director is out visiting the different people that would be importing and exporting goods from the valley now. And he's been in town since Monday, so he's been in town all week. And they've got a couple of ships that they're talking about. They're only 2 years old, so that's one of the good things, is if we could get somebody that doesn't have an old junky ship that would break down, and then we can't have good service. Because good service, reliable, constant service is what will make this work. And I think we can grow it because it's an expanding market. And I think this is very important because our port started out with vegetables and cotton, then went into cotton, and then cotton and vegetables went away, and we transitioned into liquid cargo, into steel, and all the other cargoes that we're handling today. But if we don't keep working to diversify our cargo, if we lose one of those big things for whatever reason, because the world changes, it just keeps changing, and if something changes like that, we were the busiest cotton port in the world. We were the busiest airport in the world at one time in Brownsville. So we constantly have to be looking for new things to add on, new business. And so I'm really excited about this. And we've talked about every 7 day and every 14 day service. I visited with a man that was the manager of a company that used to call on Port of Houston and New Orleans, and went to Guatemala and back every 2 weeks. And he told me it was very successful, and he said this would work. They sold that company to somebody else, I think, who's now still operating that under it with different ships and a long time ago. And they're now in the Admiralty. This man is now in the Admiralty business, but he told me this would work. And so it looks like it could work. But this is just one thing that can come out of that. And so I'm real excited about it. And it was a long trip. And it's a spooky part of the world. There's a lot of things going on there, just like there are in Mexico. But I felt safe the whole time because there was good security. They treated us wonderful. And they're real excited about us wanting to do business when they want to do business with us. So I think we've got the makings of something good here.
Thank you. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good job.